Welcome to Spirit Spells and Magic. Today we are doing a self-care or sweetness jar spell, which is to bring love and sweetness into your life. I was going to do a book of shadows, but I didn't have all the things I needed for that as yet, so we'll go ahead and look at how to make a sweetness jar or self-care jar. For a first ritual on this channel, I wanted it to be something about you and looking after yourself, as often we forget to do this, and it's one of the most important things that you can do, looking after yourself. Okay, today we are doing a self-care sweetness jar. Here is a jar that my daughter painted for me. It was just an old Vegemite jar, how Australian, and we cleaned it out, and with some of her acrylic paints she did a couple of love hearts and a little strip down the middle so as I can see what I put inside. Now, a self-care jar or sweetness jar it's a spell. It's a way of putting all the little sweetness things that you think and you feel are sweet, putting them in the jar. And this boosts your self-confidence and your mood and vibes. Gives you, when you pick it up in the end, when you've got everything in it, when you pick it up and hold it, it should remind you how sweet you are and how wonderful you are. And it attracts sweet things as well. I mean, if you imagine a flower and a bee being attracted to it, it's the nectar, it's the attraction of love. If you want love in your life, you can do this to bring more love into your life. Now let's go through some of the things that we're going to put in our self-care sweetness jar. Now really, anything that you feel is sweet, anything you think is sweet, so it's in your own way. Whatever you want to put in it, you choose to put in it. Anything that you can think of that's sweet. And there are a couple of ideas that people have given on the net, being rose quartz and amethyst. So I've got my rose quartz and amethyst. Amethyst is a spiritual stone that heightens intuition and it assists in speaking to the spiritual realm. Rose quartz attracts love and is known as the love stone. Now I'm going to pop those in. What else I have is lavender. I also have some lavender oil. Oops. I'm not sure if it's going to focus. Cinnamon. Now I don't have cinnamon sticks, but I have cinnamon ground powder, and that will work just as well, I think. And of course, honey. No, honey's sweet. Now they say Himalayan pink salt is also good. Adding a little bit of lang lang for balance. Now there are other items that you can use, like sugar, fruit, being apple, because apple is the fruit of the gods of Venus, rose oil, rosemary, jasmine, clear quartz and brown sugar. I also have some vanilla extract, because I find vanilla is really sweet as well. Put that in there. Now what they also suggest to do is write yourself a love note. Take a piece of paper and write a sweet letter to yourself, saying how wonderful you are, what are your best qualities, what you love in yourself. And even if you're a harsh critic of yourself, what others have said to you, what qualities they've found in you. Are you a good listener? Are you a good person to come to when people have got troubles? Are you an empath? Anything that is sweet on yourself. Because after all, this is a self-care sweetness jar for you, not for anyone else. So you write a nice little letter to yourself and you pop that inside too. You may find that getting yourself into a positive mood is a really good way before starting this self-care jar. Getting yourself in that right frame of mind helps in getting that love into the jar, the good vibes into the jar. Now what you'll also need is a pink candle. If you've got pink, I didn't have pink, I had to go with like a reddy white candle that's crumbling. And some pink string or ribbon. Now if you don't have those items, you can find other items that you feel are sweet. And if you don't have a pink ribbon, you can always use white or a pink candle. I use red and white. Red and white made pink, so I think I'm halfway there. But yeah, get a pink candle or a white candle. White is like the universal colour for substitution. So if you don't have a pink candle, pink ribbon or string, use white by all means. I'm just adding a little one of my daughter's tassels from her little bracelet kit. Okay, let's get to it. And it's okay to be a bit vain as well. I mean, normally I don't like talking myself up. I'm very inward, humble. I believe I'm humble. I don't like talking myself up, if you will, or blowing myself to everybody. I have quite a small ego, I feel, which has been why it's probably taken me so long to put channels on YouTube, because I'm pretty shy. So saying something to myself like this I wouldn't say it's hard or difficult, but it's awkward. But remember, this is to yourself anyway, so nobody else needs to see it or know about it. But it's definitely worth putting down very positive and sweet things to yourself, even if you find a hard time to believe them yourself. So once you've written out your letter to yourself, you could either roll it up like a scroll or fold it nice and tight. Now we're not going to burn the contents of this, so that's fine to have it a largish piece. Now they say it's good to layer the items. So what I'll do, I will put this down first so that the letter to myself is absorbed in all the goodies that we have here. Now I'm going to break the stem off that, pop my lavender in next. Right. Just bend these over a little bit so they don't get all hanging out the top. Now let me just make sure that you can see what I'm putting in here. Right, and now I think I'll put in, I'm going to use these when I finally open the jar at some point in the near future or distant future. I will like to get my stones back out at some point. So I'll pop them in and they can all be cleaned off. I mean, obviously, when you're putting things like honey and liquids and salts in a glass, at some point it's going to look pretty awful. It's no longer going to look sweet, it's going to look moldy or rotten. So at some point, probably after a couple of weeks, I would say to discard what's inside and do another one. Why not? So I'm going to put a little bit of lavender oil. It's going to smell wonderful. A bit of my lang lang. Now, as you're putting in these items, you can think about what those items are going to do for you. What is each item going to bring you? And an intention on those items. I want sweetness in my life. I want to think more sweetly of myself. Some cinnamon. I want love in my life. I have love in my life, but I want continued love in my life. Honey is sweet. Nature. I want the sweetness of nature to assist me over the coming month to bring the love and sweetness into my life. Now I've got pink Himalayan salt. Now I'm sure if you don't have pink salt as such, I'm going to try and do this without ending up with a whole lot in there. If you don't have Himalayan salt or pink salt, there's other substitutes you can use. Right, now what we do, vanilla extract. All of these items are going to bring sweetness into my life. All of these items are going to prove to me, prove to myself that I'm sweet. And every time I look upon that jar and hold that jar in my hands, I will feel good, and I will feel good about myself, because I am beautiful and I am sweet and I am loving. I'll get rid of all these little extras. Now, there are a couple of chants or mantras that you can say as you're doing these. As I said, saying the name of the item that you're placing in the jar and telling what that item is going to bring into your life. It's not a question, it's a declaration. It's an affirmation. You're saying what this is going to bring into your life. You're telling these items what you need from them, and they will perform. You could also say something like, today I am calm. Today I am peaceful. I am free. I am love. I am loved. Today I accept myself as I am, full of love and light. So mote it be. And that just gives the spell some oomph. You can say whatever you want as long as your intention's there. And the intention, of course, is love and self-love and self-care. You want you to be number one. I know it's busy, and I know we have family members to consider, and a lot of the times we put them before ourselves. But this jar is for us, and it's for reminding us that we are important And who can we help if we can't help ourselves first? What good are we if we're a broken person trying to help others? It's no good. We need to be whole. We need to be full of love for ourselves first. Now, we're going to close the jar. Vegemite jar. The yellow takes away from it. In hindsight, I would have painted the lid too. But that's okay, we're going to mess up the lid anyway. Now, light the candle. Oh, actually, what we should really do is get the string around it first. Now, I'm just going to chop a random little piece just to make it extra pretty. Because I was never really a girly girl. I was always a tomboy. I've been more girly as an adult over the age of 30. I'll say over the age of 30. Way over the age of 30. No, not so much over the age of 30. But as an adult, I've become more girly. And I suppose because I've had a daughter as well, it's made me a little bit more girly, because raising a girl, you want to give them all the girly things because, you know, it's how it's done, I suppose. But yeah, it's cute. And but she's following in my footsteps. She's quite a tomboy as well. She ended up a tomboy too. But that's okay. We've still got heaps of girly stuff anyway. Now, I will tie this around. Now, apologies if it's not a pretty bow. I've got nails. And being a tomboy for the majority of my childhood and teen years, I didn't grasp the skills that other girly girls did, like bow tying. Now, that looks pretty enough, in my opinion. And that's what counts, is what you think of the jar, because this is for you. This is your love jar. It's your love jar, your spell for yourself. Now, without further ado, we shall light the candle. This one's sitting down a while. Now I should have lit it a little while before so as I could get a lot more wax going. But what some people do is they move the ribbon away from the fire. Some of them place the candle on the top and just let it burn till there's nothing left. Now, if you're like me and you're on a schedule, you don't always have a couple of hours to watch a candle burn or to ensure that a fire doesn't start in the home. But ideally, what you could do is have the candle on your altar, obviously with a plate below it, so it would catch anything that drips off, and let the candle burn all the way down. I went looking for a birthday candle and I couldn't find one in the colour pink. Maybe they've been used already for something, but a birthday candle would be ideal because it's not going to last as long as something such as this. If you don't have time to wait for a candle to burn all the way, the idea is that you let it burn enough so as the wax gets warm and hot, and you want to seal the jar with the candle wax. So I would say even 10-15 minutes, you'll have quite a good lot of wax build up on the top. And I'd pour that over because it is closed, it's not going to fall out, and you've got your ribbon around. It's the symbolic, it's the symbolism of the wax sealing your spell. So as long as some wax drips over the edge, doesn't have to completely cover the candle, cover the jar. It doesn't have to completely cover the jar, but as long as it's quite noticeably sealing it, that's good enough. I'll try a little bit of wax. Sometimes having it burn the side like this encourages more of the wax to burn. So far we're only getting a couple of little drippy drips, but that's okay. After some time it will drip over the edge. You can kind of force it to drip over the edge somewhat. Oops, I should have probably put something underneath. Hindsight, everybody. This is our coffee table come craft table. So, cut. Using a broken candle is probably not the best of ideas, but that's okay. What I might do, I don't have another spare wick, so I might just light a bit more of this candle and have a little bit more drip over the edges. Now ideally you would have a pink candle that would burn down and you would have no nightmares. There we go. So in the event that you haven't got time to sit and watch it burn all the way down, just get a good amount over the top and down the sides to seal. And then you place it on your altar, and whenever you're feeling like you need more love or you're feeling a little sad about whatever, go and grab this jar, grab the spell jar and hold it close to you and know that you're with you. You're on your side. You've got this. And the good vibes should emanate from this jar to you. And you can see all the lovely sweet things that you have inside. And there you go. A self-care spell jar. All for you. Because you are who matters. You matter most in your life. Yes, we have kids. We love our kids. But we matter too. And we have to remember that. I hope you enjoyed this episode on making your very own sweetness jar or self-care jar. Stay tuned for more great episodes upcoming, including putting together a book of shadows, as well as many more rituals to come. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're aware when I'm putting up more great videos. Namaste.